92% of people who set goals in January fail before March. Not for lack of intention, not for lack of a plan. They fail because they believe a lie that the personal development market has been selling for decades. And that lie has a name you know well. Napoleon Hill spent 2 decades studying 500 millionaires. He was expecting to find willpower. He was expecting to find discipline. What he found was something else entirely. And once you grasp that distinction, everything you thought you knew about self-discipline just crumbles. You've been there. That feeling of waking up on the first day of January with that list of goals in hand. Work out 5 times a week. Read a book every 2 weeks. Cut out sugar. Start that project that will change everything. And for the first few days, it works. You feel that energy. Determination burns in your chest. You wake up early, you follow through, you feel different. But then February rolls around. The energy fades, the motivation vanishes, the discipline that seemed so solid dissolves like smoke, and you're back to square one. Same routine, same frustration, the same question pounding in your head. Why can't I do this? The answer the market gives you is simple. You don't have enough discipline. You lack willpower. You're not one of those people who can achieve things, and you believe it, because that answer is comfortable. It puts you in a group. It gives you an excuse. It allows you to give up without guilt. But what if I told you that discipline was never the problem? What if the answer you've been given your whole life is exactly the lie that keeps you trapped? Let me show you a pattern. Every single New Year's Day, 360 million people around the world write down their goals. They decide this year will be different. This year they'll lose weight. They'll start a business. They'll get out of debt. They'll wake up at 5 in the morning. And these people aren't lazy. They're not weak. They genuinely want it. But by the time March rolls around, 92% of them have already given up. 92. That's not a made-up statistic. That's research from the University of Scranton. And that number hasn't changed in 10 years. Now here's the part that stings. Of those who gave up, 87% will blame the same thing, a lack of discipline. They'll say they didn't have enough willpower, that they're not the type who can maintain consistency. And you've done this before. I know you have. You started that project with all your might. You bought the equipment. You made the plan. You woke up early on the first day. You felt that excitement, that certainty that this time it would be different. And it was. For a week. 2 if you were lucky. Then came that day when you woke up without any desire. Your body felt heavy, your mind resisted, and you thought, just today I'll skip, tomorrow I'll get back to it. But tomorrow turned into the day after tomorrow. And the day after tomorrow turned into next week. And next week turned into never again. And when you looked back, the discipline was gone, and you felt like a failure. Now, here's the question no one has asked you. What if discipline was never something you were supposed to maintain on your own? What if the way you've been taught to think about discipline is exactly what's holding you back from achieving it? Because here's the truth no one tells you. Discipline isn't a quality you either possess or don't possess. It's not a muscle you strengthen. It's not a virtue some people are born with and others will never have. Discipline is a symptom. When you see someone training every day at 5 in the morning for 5 years, you're not seeing discipline. You're seeing the effect of something much bigger happening underneath. And while you chase the effect, the cause remains untouched. It's like trying to cure a fever without treating the infection. You can cool the body with ice. You can take fever reducers. But the fever comes back because the problem wasn't the temperature, and the problem was never your discipline. Say this out loud. The discipline I seek already exists. I just haven't activated the cause. Napoleon Hill interviewed 500 millionaires over 20 years. He expected to find rigid routines, perfect habits, Unbreakable Willpower, and what he found was completely different. He found obsessed men. He found people who didn't need to force themselves to wake up early because they couldn't sleep thinking about what they had to build. He found individuals who didn't have to fight procrastination because the idea of stopping hurt more than continuing. And when Hill tried to unravel what these people had in common, he didn't find discipline at the top of the list. He found something called a definite chief aim, a desire so clear, so burning, so specific that all other faculties of the mind organized themselves around it, and then discipline emerged, not as effort, as attraction. Andrew Carnegie told Hill something that changed everything. When a man knows exactly what he wants and is willing to burn all his bridges behind him to get it, he doesn't need discipline, he just needs direction. And you've never heard this, because this truth doesn't sell courses. This truth doesn't fit into an Instagram post. This truth demands that you stop chasing the symptom and start building the cause. But as long as you keep believing that the problem is discipline, you will keep failing. And it was never your fault. The fault lies with the collective illusion that was sold to you. What you just heard changes everything. And Napoleon Hill always said one thing: you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's why I created Rich Mind, a free community for those who truly take these principles seriously. Inside, you'll find the 17 principles, daily verses, a 21-day planner to rewire your mind, and a vibrant community where people from all over the world share ideas every single day. The link is in the pinned comment. Join today, because those who wait for the perfect moment never start. Now, let's give this illusion a name, because it has one, and it has governed how you think about success since you were a child. The illusion is this: discipline is a character trait. Some people are born with it, others aren't. Some people can wake up early, work out every day, stick to the plan without deviation. Other people, well, they just don't have that strength. And if you don't have it, you're doomed to fail. That's the lie, and it's comfortable because it absolves you of responsibility. If discipline is a fixed trait you don't possess, then it's not your fault when you fail. You were born this way. This is who you are. There's nothing to be done. But let me show you where this belief comes from. It comes from a misunderstanding of how the human mind works. In the early 20th century, psychologists began studying willpower, and they concluded that some people had more self-control than others. This became common knowledge, and then the self-help market took this idea and turned it into a product. They sold you books on how to strengthen your discipline, courses on how to develop habits, apps to track your consistency, and all these products start from the same premise: the problem is you. You're not disciplined enough. You need to change. You need to force yourself. And you bought it. You bought it because you believed that discipline was the common denominator of success, that if you could force yourself enough, eventually you would get there. But here's what no one told you. Willpower is a limited resource. This isn't opinion, it's science. Roy Baumeister, a social psychologist, spent decades studying self-control, and he discovered something disturbing. Willpower gets depleted. The more you use it during the day, the less you have available. It's like a battery that drains, and when the battery dies, you give in. So every time you try to force yourself to do something you don't really want to do, you're draining a finite resource, and eventually, it runs out. This explains why you can stick to a diet for a week and then collapse into a bucket of ice cream. It's not because you're weak, it's because you were swimming against the current the whole time. And here's the part no one talks about. The people you admire, those who seem to have infinite discipline, aren't using willpower. They're not forcing themselves, they're being pulled. There's a gigantic difference between pushing a rock uphill and being pulled by a rope, you yourself tied at the top. In the first case, you need constant strength. In the second, You just need to hold on to the rope. And the rope has a name. It's called burning desire. Napoleon Hill spent 20 years trying to understand what separated the men who built empires from the men who failed. And he discovered it wasn't discipline, it was obsession. It was a goal so clear, so visceral, so impossible to ignore that all mental energy reorganized around it. And then discipline emerged, not as a struggle, as an inevitable consequence. But the market doesn't sell you that, because selling obsession is hard. Selling discipline is easy. Discipline can be gamified, it can be tracked, it can be turned into an app, it can be sold in a 30-day course. Obsession, no. Obsession requires you to go deep, to confront what you really want, to burn the bridges, to commit in a way that there's no turning back, and that's scary. So the market sells you the comfortable illusion. You just need more discipline. You just need to try harder. You just need to be more consistent, and you spend years chasing the symptom while the cause remains untouched. Say this out loud: I don't need more discipline. I need a desire that commands me. And when you understand that, everything changes. Because now you're no longer trying to force yourself to be someone you're not. You're building a desire so powerful that discipline becomes automatic. And this isn't theory. This is documented. Hill recorded this in 500 cases. Carnegie lived it, Edison lived it, Ford lived it, and you can live it too. But first you need to abandon the illusion. You need to stop believing that discipline is the problem, because discipline was never the problem. Weak desire. That was always the problem. You've just seen the problem. Now comes the part that changes everything, building the desire that pulls you forward. I designed the Mind Reprogramming Planner for precisely this reason. It's 21 days of direct work with Napoleon Hill's principles and applied neuroscience to help you eliminate procrastination, reprogram your mind, and create discipline that never relies on motivation. The link is in the pinned comment of this video. Now let's dive into the mechanism, because understanding this changes everything. The mechanism Napoleon Hill uncovered after 20 years of research has a name: discipline by attraction. It's not willpower, it's not self-control, it's not a habit. It's the inevitable result of a desire so clear and so burning that all the faculties of the mind organize themselves around it. And when that happens, you no longer need to force yourself. You are pulled. Let me explain how this works in practice. When you set a generic goal, lose weight, make money, be productive, your mind doesn't know what to do with it. It's too vague, too abstract. It lacks traction. So what happens? You rely on willpower to move forward. And willpower is finite. It drains, and eventually it runs out. But when you define a chief aim, specific, dated, visceral, something changes in your mental architecture. Your mind now has a target. And everything it does is measured against that target. Every decision, every action, every idle moment. You wake up, and the first thing that comes to mind isn't whether you feel like acting. It's whether you are closer to or further from your target. And this creates a different kind of movement. It's not effort, it's attraction. Andrew Carnegie explained this to Hill in a way that has never been forgotten. When a man knows exactly what he wants, with a clarity that burns, he doesn't need discipline, he needs direction, because his mind is already organized, it's already moving, it's already obsessed. And Hill tested this. He interviewed 500 millionaires. And in every single one, he found the same pattern. None of them spoke about discipline as a virtue. None of them said they woke up early because they had superior willpower. They woke up early because they couldn't stop thinking about what they were building. They worked 16 hours a day, not because they forced themselves, but because stopping hurt more than continuing. And this is no exaggeration. Thomas Edison slept 4 hours a night for years, not because he was disciplined, but because he was obsessed with the incandescent light bulb. He couldn't turn his mind off. Henry Ford spent years building prototypes in the shed behind his house while working full-time. Nobody asked him to do it. He didn't have a coach. He didn't have a 90-day plan. He had a desire that wouldn't leave him alone. And then comes the part that science confirms. Roy Baumeister, the same psychologist who discovered that willpower is finite, also discovered something more. When a person has a clear and emotionally charged goal, the brain activates a different system. It's no longer the prefrontal cortex fighting against impulses. It's the reward system anticipating the outcome. And when that happens, resistance disappears. You don't have to convince yourself to act. You act because not acting generates discomfort. This is discipline by attraction. And Hill named it burning desire. But here's the problem. Most people never define a true burning desire. They define a vague intention, a would be nice if, it would be cool to, and then they expect discipline to appear. But discipline doesn't appear for vague desires. It only appears for desires that burn. Hill documented this in every case. He would ask, "When did you decide you were going to achieve this?" And the answer was always the same. It wasn't a rational decision. It was a burning of bridges. It was a moment when the person looked at their own life and said, "Either I achieve this or I die trying. There is no plan B." And from that moment on, everything changed. Because now it wasn't about discipline anymore. It was about the survival of the desire. Say this out loud. Discipline is not hunted. It is attracted. And when you understand this, you stop chasing the symptom. You stop trying to force yourself to wake up early. You stop trying to motivate yourself every day, and you start building the desire that will pull you. You start defining your chief aim with such clarity that your mind can no longer ignore it. You write it down, you visualize it, you repeat it until it becomes an obsession, and then discipline emerges on its own, not as a struggle, as an inevitable side effect of a desire that has taken control. This isn't motivation, this is mechanics, and it works every time it's applied. But most people never apply it because they never knew this was the true mechanism. They spent their whole lives chasing discipline when they should have been building desire. And now you know. Now you have the information that 92% of people will never have. The question is, what will you do with it? Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt that all-consuming obsession for something? That one thing that just wouldn't leave your mind, that you thought about when you woke up and right before you fell asleep? Jot it down in the comments. It doesn't have to be some huge goal. It can be anything that has ever consumed you like that, because that answer will show you exactly where your true desire lies. Let me show you this in action. Because theory without a concrete case is just philosophy, and this isn't philosophy, it's documented fact. In 1908, a man named Edwin C. Barnes decided he was going to become a partner with Thomas Edison. He had no money, no education, no connections. He had only one desire, and that desire was so clear, so visceral, he couldn't think of anything else. Barnes lived in Orange, New Jersey. Edison was in West Orange, a few miles away. And Barnes didn't have money for a train ticket, so he hopped a freight train. He jumped into an empty car and made his way to Edison. When he arrived, he had no resume, no proposal. He just said, "I've come to work with you, not for you, with you." And Edison looked at this man, dirty, penniless, seemingly crazy, and saw something. He saw the burning desire. Edison later said that Barnes had the look of someone who had made a definitive decision. There was no doubt in his eyes. There was no plan B. And Edison hired him. Not because Barnes was qualified, but because Edison recognized the obsession. And here's the important part. Barnes didn't need discipline to work 16 hours a day. He didn't need motivation to keep going when Edison put him on jobs nobody else wanted. He didn't need willpower to wake up early every day for years, because he wasn't forcing himself. He was being pulled by the desire to become Edison's partner, and 5 years later, he did it. Edison launched a dictating machine, and he looked for someone to sell it, someone who believed in the product as much as he did, and he chose Barnes. Barnes sold millions of units, became Edison's partner, became rich. But it wasn't discipline that got him there. It was the desire he carried from day one. And here's the difference. If Barnes had only a vague intention of working with Edison, he would have given up in the first week, because Edison put him to sweep floors, to do manual labor, to be treated like just another guy. But Barnes didn't give up, because his desire was non-negotiable. There was no turning back. There was no plan B. He had burned the bridges. And when you burn the bridges, discipline stops being a choice. It becomes the only option. Now comes the part that changes everything. You are not undisciplined. You are just poor in desire. And that's not a criticism. It's a diagnosis, because as long as you believe the problem is discipline, you will keep trying to force yourself. You will keep failing. You will keep feeling like a failure. But when you understand that the problem is desire, everything changes, because now you don't have to force yourself. You need to build the desire that will pull you. And that is something you can do. It's not genetic, it's not luck, it's not talent, it's a deliberate construction. Hill taught this in his 13 principles. He called it definiteness of purpose. You take a goal and you make it so clear, so specific, so time-bound that your mind cannot escape it. You write it down, you read it every day, you visualize it until it becomes an obsession, and then discipline emerges, not as effort, as a side effect. And here's what happens when you do that. You stop relying on external motivation. You stop needing someone to push you. You stop waiting for the day you'll feel like it, because desire becomes its own engine. And you wake up not because you have discipline, but because you can't stay still. This isn't theory. It happened to Barnes, it happened to Carnegie, it happened to Ford, it happened to the 500 millionaires Hill studied. And it can happen to you, but only if you stop chasing discipline and start building desire. Say this out loud: my desire defines my discipline. And when you say that, something changes. Because now you are no longer a victim of your lack of willpower. You are the architect of the desire that will command you. And that is the identity that separates those who succeed from those who give up. It's not discipline. It never was. It's burning desire converted into inevitable action. And now, there's a problem no one talks about. You can have the most burning desire in the world. You can visualize every day. You can write your goal in blood and still fail, because there's an invisible mechanism that sabotages 90% of people who apply Hill's principles. It's documented in Chapter 6 of Think and Grow Rich, but almost no one reads that far. And those who do read it don't understand what Hill was saying. This mechanism has to do with what happens between the moment you define the desire and the moment the first concrete action is taken. There's a window, and if you don't cross that window at the right time, the desire dies, and you go back to square one. Hill called this the conversion window, and in the next video, I'm going to show you exactly how it works. The biggest sabotage you can commit isn't failing. It's chasing the wrong thing with all the intensity in the world. And you've spent years doing it. You woke up early, you made lists, you tried to force yourself to be disciplined, you read books on habits, you bought productivity apps, and you failed. Not because you're weak, but because you were hunting the symptom instead of building the cause. Discipline was never what set successful people apart. What they had was a desire so clear, so burning, so impossible to ignore, that discipline emerged as an inevitable side effect. And while you were chasing willpower, they were being pulled by obsession. Now you know, and this information changes everything. Because now you no longer have to wake up every day trying to convince yourself to act. You no longer have to fight procrastination. You no longer have to feel like a failure when motivation fades. Because you've understood the mechanism, discipline by attraction. When the desire is real, action is inevitable. And now you have a choice. You can keep doing what you've always done. Try to force yourself, try to be more disciplined, try to wake up early with willpower and keep failing. Or you can do what Carnegie did, what Edison did, what Barnes did, what the 500 millionaires Hill studied did. You can stop chasing discipline and start building the desire that will command you. And it starts now. In the next 24 hours, you're going to take a piece of paper and you're going to write down your chief aim. Not a generic goal, not a "I wish I could," not a "it would be nice if," a specific objective, dated, visceral, something that when you read it burns in your chest. You're going to write it as if it's already a fact, as if it has already happened. And you're going to put that paper somewhere you see it every day, every single day, and you're going to read it out loud, with intention, until your mind can no longer escape it. This isn't motivation, this is reprogramming, and when you do this, something changes in your mental architecture. Your mind stops resisting and starts organizing, and the discipline you've chased your whole life emerges on its own, not as a struggle, as an attraction. You are no longer someone who seeks discipline. You are an architect of desires, and that identity changes everything.